Emergency services are still at the Johannesburg CBD, where a suspected explosion has led to 9 people being hospitalised and others treated for minor injuries. Egoli Gas has released a statement refuting claims that the cause of the explosion has been a gas leak. Now, City Power is also at the scene assessing the situation. The entity spokesperson, Isaac Mangena, now joins us on the line. Mr. Mangena, great to have you on the show. Thank you for being with us. Good evening.
Good evening, Mbali, and good evening to the viewers at home.
It's Flo, Isaac. I'm sure you can hear my voice. Isaac, let's talk about what you guys have been doing at this time, the assessment. What are you finding, and has it indeed affected your operations?
So indeed, our teams have basically rushed to the site of the suspected explosion. That basically saw the stretch of a road basically sinking in, and we basically made a few assessments, but we are still on site currently. Even as I'm talking to you now, we're still on site here in the CBD, basically doing with the team doing assessments as to the impact or the extent of the impact on our infrastructure. This area where this explosion happened is basically a few steps away from our substation, a pre-substation, which basically supplies electricity to the residents within the CBD, the inner city, Joburg, but also even our surrounding suburbs. Including Hillbrow and so forth. So that we suspect that it has been affected by this incident, and the team is basically holding off. So it happened around 5:30, and at 6 o'clock there was load shedding. So immediately after load shedding, which ended around 8, we decided not to switch on because of the reports that there could have been a gas leak, so that our electricity, when we switch on, does not ignite that gas leak that was suspected. So we are basically sitting with the residents of the inner city without electricity as we speak, because of pre-substation is off, but it also affected the other 2 substations, which is Braamfontein substation and also John Ware substation, which is on the other side next to Newtown, which is supplying Mayfair and other areas. So Braamfontein, the areas around Mayfair, and also the inner city is currently off as we speak until we get a go-ahead that everything is clear and we can be able to switch on some of those customers.
Yeah, and of course there had been suspicions of some sort of a gas leak, but Egoli Gas then released a statement refuting those claims that the cause of the explosion was a gas leak. But at this point, you're not in a position yet as City Power to say whether or not that is true, because you're still making your own findings at this point. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So we basically are not ruling anything out, and I think it was really premature for Egoli Gas to basically come out and say they don't suspect that, because everyone has been cleared off, including ourselves at City Power. We are trying to do our own testing from a distance, basically trying to see how many of those cables that are going through that area where the impact has happened are affected, so that we can be able to try and see if we can swing the load to other areas. But what we know is that the area is basically a servitude that has been used by most of the services that are supplied, including water, including electricity. There's a tunnel underground that we have as City Power, where our cables run between north and south of the city, from Newtown towards the north of the city, towards N Street. So there are many other services that are running through there, including the gas, and we are trying to find out, all of us as the service providers, which one could have actually caused this explosion between the water, electricity, and even gas. So we will see that after the assessments have been made. The team convened at Mary Fitzgerald Square. That is where the Joint Command Center is convened, and they moved a few minutes away to inside near the area where the impact was, to basically make further assessments with the city manager is there, the mayor and other officials are also part of that. Even City Power is also represented there to basically try and see exactly how far the impact is, what needs to be done currently. this evening and what should be done when the sun rises tomorrow, so that we can be able to see what the issues are and we can be able to say what is it that we need to do.
And Ike, what is the worst case scenario? I'm asking this, obviously for those who would be affected by, lights being cut off due to, the assessments that you have to do. I mean, rightfully you have to do, so that there isn't further problems and damage. But, what do you anticipate that could perhaps be the worst case scenario? I mean, you're saying that it was indeed premature for Egoli Gas to release that statement, ruling out absolutely the issue of a gas leak. But, in the minds of City Power, what could be the worst situation then?
Look, in terms of our own services, the worst case scenario would be a situation where the substations are affected and we are not able to bring back electricity to residents and the businesses within the CBD. But it's a case of us waiting and seeing, because currently we can try and switch on and see where we are not basically able to come back. But that might ignite. Remember, electricity and gas, if we switch on, it might ignite whatever that is suspected to be a gas leak, and it might even blow the whole CBD off. Yeah. And that really is the worst case scenario. But we are not going to be switching on the electricity infrastructure. We are not going to switch on the substation that is right next there, our pre-substation, and definitely the other two substations, the John Ware substation and also Braamfontein substation, that are interlinked with the pre-substation. We are not going to switch them on until we basically know the extent of the impact of this on the electricity infrastructure, so that we know exactly what is it that we need to do and what is it that we're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
The other worst case scenario would be if the way the earth was ripped apart, basically ripped through our substation, which means that our transformers are, the structural integrity where our transformers are basically based is no longer sufficient, and it will mean that we will basically have to either close that substation and try and see other options as to how we can basically supply electricity to the residents and the businesses within the CBD, and until that infrastructure is being constructed. But at this moment, I cannot even say what is the impact on that substation, which is right next to where the impact of the incident happened. So we cannot even say what is it that needs to happen. We can only say that later in the evening, and I think the city manager and other officials will also be able to respond to that.
All right, Mr. Mangena, many thanks to you for that. That is Isaac Mangena, who is City Power's spokesperson. They're just commenting on the work that they are doing as City Power in the Johannesburg CBD. Of course, as it is suspected that the explosion there that led to 9 people being hospitalised might have been caused indeed by some sort of a gas leak. But we did hear from Egoli Gas refuting that and ruling out that possibility. But certainly we'll hear more from City Power as they ascertain what the actual issue there is.